What's going on, gamers? We got an interesting video here by Deck Ready saying why Steam Machine probably won't be delayed. I'm like, that's a bold statement. Probably is something good to put between that because I'm like, wait, so you think that this is which is going to be coming out before the Magnus and the PlayStation 6, obviously, which are going to be getting pushed back into 2028, obviously. It's not going to get delayed, and they're already talking about those getting delayed. I don't know, man. Is there a chance of that possibly happening? Valve was like, we're just going to eat it because we don't want to sell, 50, 60 million consoles like cells. Because I have to say console like because it's still a PC, but in a console like algorithm, I mean, I would say there's a sliver of that, but I don't know. Like, it just depends on how crazy things are and how much they get taxed. One thing I will say is that I know they are going to be using an APU console-like aspect, but when it comes to SSD and RAM, I still don't think there's avoiding things when it comes to that. So yeah, I mean, we need to see CES too, see how things are going to go there, and get a little bit more news. And I was also telling people too, if Valve does delay the Steam Machine, would that put a dent into their Half-Life 3 agenda? Meaning that they kind of wanted to launch Half-Life 3 with the Steam Machine so that it can bundle in and increase that volume. Whereas if they had to delay that, would they still launch Half-Life 3 anyway and blow up and crash Steam because that's where everyone was going to be playing it at for the most part anyways? And that's always an interesting question to be answered. So we're going to get our answers, obviously, probably sometime next year. If Half-Life 3 is there, but I know there's people that are doubting that. So yeah, let's see what he has to say here. Like, comment, subscribe. Here we go.
In this video, we're going to talk about how there are even more rumors that the Steam Machine is going to get delayed, and I'm going to tell you why I don't necessarily believe them. After that, I made a list of even more great games to pick up during the Steam Christmas sale based on your recommendations, and I found a few of my own. So these are games that look and run great on the Steam Deck and are all at a great price, and I bumped it way down from the first list I made. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about Steam hardware. This is the last video I'm recording in 2025, so the first thing I gotta say is thank you so much for all the success you've brought this channel this year. I started it almost 4 years ago when the Steam Deck was first announced, and it was something that I was just doing on the side as like an outlet to gush about my new favorite handheld. And then this year, I realized I was having the most fun recording videos for this channel, so I really worked hard to make sure I was increasing the output without just throwing garbage out there, and you guys responded in droves. This is the biggest year by far for this channel, and it's been really encouraging and really awesome. So I just wanted to say thanks at the end of the year. Oh, and regardless of if I hit 100K or not by the end of the year, I'm still doing a Viper video as soon as it warms up. Don't worry, it's gonna happen. But with the intro out of the way, let's get into the first news story here and talk about whether or not the Steam Machine is going to be delayed. Now, I covered this last week when a big analyst, I think it was Mike Straw over at Insider Gaming, was saying he was positive that Half-Life 3 was supposed to release with the Steam Machine, and the reason Valve didn't announce it this year is because they're scared they're going to delay the Steam Machine. And that does sound a little bit believable to me. It's not necessarily an actual launch title because if it comes out with the Steam Machine, of course you're going to be able to play it on any gaming PC if you buy it through Steam, but like linking up the Steam Machine with Half-Life 3's launch is a good way to help out both the game and the console at launch to give people a game to play on their brand new device.
Yes, because if you want to have a console-like experience, one of the most important things is to come in with some type of power identity where you said the whole world wants this. And Half-Life 3 is one of those games. I mean, let's be real here, guys. If they launch Half-Life 3 with the Steam Machine, I mean, it is just going to sell gangbusters immediately. It's a way for Valve to come in with a strong foothold into the market. And it's definitely going to be in Microsoft's face saying that you're relevant in 2026 if they can do that to a certain degree. Obviously, Microsoft is going to have a strong third-party publishing facet going on in 2026. And if they get all those games to all be good, they can have a strong presence in that. But when it comes to hardware, they're kind of in a deep grave. You know what I mean? Definitely with the way things are looking now and how more ridiculous it's going to get and how more annoyed they are by not getting that DRAM deal when they went over to South Korea. Yeah, they stormed off angry. You know, well, I've said this before. Like, so I don't even think they care about hardware like you would think after that. They're really just more worried about publishing and getting in that AI position to feel like Microsoft is important. It hurts their ego big time. Those suits are very mad about that. So Valve has a chance to come in and really make a footprint on the entry level if this DRAM SSD stuff does not make it ridiculous with the Steam Machine and Half-Life 3 as a pinpoint. That's why I feel like if they do delay it, I think they're going to have to delay Half-Life 3 because I think they want that all to be in one synergy where it's like Half-Life 3 drops with Steam and the Steam Machine at the same time. I don't want to separate it. I kind of feel like that would probably be the best thing for full synergy, but we know what could interrupt that. It's just the way it works. It's going to interrupt everything. PS6, which is going to get delayed, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. Magnus, which is going to get delayed. Nothing wrong with that. That was good. Steam Machine, that's a different story. You know what I mean? And it's going to affect the prices of the Steam Machine. It's going to affect the prices of PlayStation 5, PS5 Pro, Nintendo Switch 2, and the Xbox, which is already way too expensive, and everything else not going down. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't like it, and I really hope something can happen fast, some type of miracle. We need it.
So that line of thinking kind of makes sense when you take into account the whole memory shortage situation, right? Like Valve probably had a pretty low cost in mind for the Steam Machine, and then RAM and SSD prices shot through the roof thanks to AI data centers buying them up. And now they're at a point where they can either subsidize the console and take a loss on it until RAM prices stabilize, or if they do that and RAM prices never stabilize, they can launch at a lower price and then increase it later, or they can delay the launch and see how it goes and then make a price decision based on how history plays out. Another route that was presented that I don't think is really realistic is that Valve is going to sell this thing without RAM or an SSD. Like, I think it's definitely possible, right, for them to say,
oh, no way, guys. Because this is supposed to be a console-like experience. They're not going to do that.
Hey, you're buying most of the parts, but you got to source the rest of them yourself. I don't think that really makes a lot of sense, because if Valve...
They're not going to NVIDIA you.
Buys a big batch of RAM and a big batch of SSDs, even though they're still, like, relatively to everyone else going to pay more because of the situation that's going on right now. Because they're buying them in bulk, I'd imagine they'd be able to at least get some of a deal on it. And it doesn't really help the equation at all for them to say, well, we're selling it at $550, but you're going to have to source the two most expensive parts yourself. It just doesn't seem realistic for them to do that. And also, they probably have a lot of Steam machines already made, ready to be shipped out for whenever it launches. So it's not like they're going to rip open every box that's sitting in a warehouse and strip out these essential parts to then sell later, because then they'll have the parts that they already bought and they'd have to open up a RAM store or something like that. It just doesn't seem pretty realistic to me at the end.
He has a lot of good points about that, but if they didn't make enough and the Half-Life demand is crazy, I think they want to try to get in as much as they can immediately. But that is a fair point to say that maybe they might want to start off with that, and then they'll get more stuff over time. But that leads me to this. Like, it's like Nintendo said and PlayStation said, we don't see the price increase happening because we had stuff out ahead of time, before all that stuff hit. Sony said the same thing, and I already got myself prepared for next year, so let's do it $100 off. Valve could actually launch it at the price they initially wanted to if they have that stock already ready. But somebody told me, and we saw some stuff about them delaying things. It was probably supposed to launch at the end of this year. So I don't know, man. It's definitely some good interpretations by him and good points to where it's like, maybe that spring thing could happen if they have enough stock before this stuff got too crazy and they may have mass supplied and got, some done. We'll find out, won't we? Because we don't got that much time till 2026 hits here.
End of the day. Another thing that analysts are linking to the Steam Machine that I don't really understand is that console sales are down by 27% year over year. I don't know why they're linking that to the Steam Machine, because when you look at the PS5, the biggest reason people aren't showing up to buy it this year is because of the price. The PS5 launched 5 years ago at $500 for the disk drive model and $400 for the disk drive list model. And now, 5 years later, unlike every other console in history, it hasn't dropped by around 50%. It's gone up in price. So they added $50 to the price of every console. The disk drive enabled one is $550. The disk drive list model is $450. The PS5 Pro starts at $750. And if you want a disk drive, it brings it up above $800. And then if you look at the games Sony's put out this generation, they've had some good ones, like God of War Ragnarok, for example, I thought was excellent. But the vast majority of their biggest games this generation also launched on PS4. And since they started only releasing on PS5, people haven't really resonated with a lot of their games. And on top of that, they're charging $70 for them now. So people are being a lot more cautious when they go to the store and choose to spend money on a game. Like, if you look
Yeah, he has a good point. But Sony, and I mean, they still got their sales that they usually would have, though. It's not like they're like suffering because of that. And they did an insane deal recently, so it's like they're okay. No, it's Xbox that's really the problem. But all of them just raising their prices in general obviously is a problem. So he's 100% correct about that. But at the price that it is, I mean, it's not that far behind PS4 considering how much more expensive. Because Sony's just good with hardware manufacturing and they got that loyal base and they know what they're doing and people can trust them. They're not going to kill their market and they're not going to kill their base. It's impossible. Same thing with Nintendo. But obviously, the thing that sucks is that they're just not dropping the price this generation. Everything's just gone insane. 100% on you with that.
Look at what games succeeded this year. It was stuff like Mafia: The Old Country, which launched at $50 on current gen consoles, Arc Raiders, which was $40, and then Battlefield 6, which was a return to form for the series, while Call of Duty was in its worst year ever. So like, even though Battlefield 6 was $70, it was more of an outlier based on the games people showed up to buy this year. Like even Elden Ring Night Rain, which I'm pretty sure launched at $40 or $50, that sold extremely well because it was a good game sold at the correct price. So when you've got a situation where not only are games considered too expensive, but the console itself has gone up in price and people didn't really feel like it was worth it at $500 after a few years because, you know, it's the PS5 and for the past 4 generations, by this point in the life cycle, you'd expect it to be around $250 or $300. It makes sense why people aren't showing up to buy consoles at the stores for this holiday season. And it's weird to say that could affect the Steam Machine because the Steam Machine is not a console, right? Like it's a PC that works like a console. You plug it into your TV, you turn it on with the controller, but it's running on Linux. It uses your Steam PC library. It has free online. It can use a browser that actually works. It can add any app you want, like Discord or Spotify or whatever you want at the end of the day. Like you could get VacuumTube and get YouTube TV style YouTube on the thing because it's a PC at the end of the day. Like you could even install Windows on it. So I think people are smart enough to understand that while it looks like a console, it's not necessarily a console. It's a PC that has console flavorings added in. And once this,
just like the Steam Deck looks like a console handheld, but it's not a console handheld. It's a PC handheld, just like the ROG Ally. So it's the same thing again. You know what I mean? 100% with him on that. It's an extended aspect of something that is not an organic market with its own exclusives and identity separate from the PC world, like a console to be sold. You know what I mean? No, it's like, no, you can just still be within the Steam ecosystem, though, which is now more versatile instead of just being an app, you know, on Windows PCs or whatever, or now they're on iOS and all of that. You can now have an handheld option off that PC, and now you're going to be able to have a console like living room experience, but that's all within the Steam ecosystem. So that's the way to look at it. And what's wrong with that? Nothing. That the more, the better.
This thing is out, unless you already have a massive library of PlayStation 5 games, if people are looking at getting a new console for their living room, they're going to look at the situation and say, well, the PS5 is about to have the PS6 replace it in just a couple of years, and it's still the same price as it was when it came out, if not more. Also, you have to pay for online services, which is really expensive. If you want to do cloud streaming for games you already own, you need to get a PS Portal and pay for the top tier of online services from Sony, whereas
I mean, you kind of have to. Most PlayStation games are single player, though. Like when it comes to that now, I don't really care about that anymore. And hear me out, guys. It was a good argument before, but with the prices of RAM now, the prices of SSDs, these PC prices now, it's so insane. Like I could pay for 10 years of Nintendo Switch Online for only $20 a year and only spent $200. That's nothing. Even if I got the $50 deal, that's $500 in 10 years. That's nothing. Like if I want to build a nice PC right now, think about how much that's going to cost me. You see what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't really work anymore. I don't really care about that because that only works if you want to play games online. And a lot of people, when they're on the Nintendo world, and a lot of people, when they're over in the PlayStation world, they play a lot of single player games. And you can play free to play games without having to pay online. So, I mean, it can be annoying. The only thing I don't like is you have to pay for cloud tied into that. And I think it should be a lot more cheaper or, you know, more of a kind of like a free option, but they're just not going to do that. Nintendo has the most, like I said, pro-consumer option where it's like, if I want to use your cloud for a whole year, it's only $20. You really think I care about that? A plate of food one day is that. Like, so, yeah, like when you got RAM being the price that it is on PC now and where it's about to be, and the price of SSDs and the price of these these models coming out and the way that Nvidia is going about trying to charge $3,500, $4,000 for a card. I'm sorry, you know what I mean? It's like I don't really care about that little petty stuff anymore because it just doesn't really matter now because it's so ridiculous and anti-consumer. If you try to do those little things, it's like, no, because if I want to spend this much on a PC, I can get a PS5 Pro, I can get a Switch 2, and I can buy online for both of them for 5 years each and buy 5 exclusives on each of them, and I still ain't even coming close to that. And like, all those games I'm gonna be getting on those subscription models are a ton. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That argument to me, it just really depends because, like I said, I'm not gonna be able to get any of those Switch 2 games over on PC, and I have a whole library of stuff I can play with online and get cloud cheap for $20. Or if I want to get the $50 expansion and play that, but either way, you can only have to pay $20. Like that, there's no way of arguing against that. And I don't think it's like when it comes to this comparison stuff, it's better to see how more now, like how they've improved each other. Like for example, because of the Switch 2, you have the Steam Deck. Because of the GameCube and until you have the GameCube, you know what I mean? It's like he envies Nintendo and he loves them and they've made him better. It made Steam better. Like it makes things better. Like it's like there could be a better way of looking at this, but I get what he's trying to say as well. Because I have to counter that to an extent. Not to say that I don't agree with some of those things, but it's like now more than ever, that's less relevant thanks to NVIDIA, AI feed, and all this other crap. You know, it's just kind of like pick your poison and all are needed in a certain way, and you all want them to stand on their own because that's more innovation.
With the Steam machine, you buy it, you buy games on it, you can play them online for free. The games are generally cheaper and it'll run on any PC you want it to. And it looks like they're eventually going to bring Steam to phones. So you'll be able to access those games anywhere you want. And on top of that, there's the Steam Deck, the Steam Frame. There are infinite ways to access your Steam games. Whereas if you want to access PlayStation games, you need a PlayStation 5. And the thing's not out yet. We don't know what the demand is. We don't know how.
Yeah, but dude, it's like if I want to play Counter-Strike, I need Steam. You know what I mean? If I, because there's people that get tied to their profile. If I want to play World of Warcraft, I need a PC. There's always been this lockout, and it's everywhere. So I'm saying it doesn't matter. PCs was doing that forever. They never gave nobody World of Warcraft, and the whole world loved it back then. They never gave them Counter-Strike, except that one time on Xbox. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Half-Life even had its little things too. But it's like if Half-Life 3 comes out, that's a Steam exclusive. And the top most played games are Steam exclusives all the time. Now, old games like Dota and all that, it's like you want your identity. That's the whole world. Who's at the top right now? NVIDIA. What's their identity? You know what I mean? They got their own identity. Apple is Apple only. You know what I mean? They got their own identity. And you just, when you look at that, Google is Google. They have YouTube. They have their own identity. They got their own Gemini. Like, that's what rules the world. Like Nintendo being number one in gaming and not surrender to anyone. They got the strongest identity. Like, you want identity. You do not want an identity crisis. That's the problem with Xbox. It is. That's the problem at Microsoft with their identity issues. But when you think about Windows, that's an identity. You know what I mean? As bad as 11 is with its AI hell. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, I want this unique identity. Sony even shared some of their games on PC, but you have that because they had the unique identity to make that game. And if that identity was not there, it wouldn't exist because you wouldn't be having that Japanese development there. You wouldn't be having those studios with Sony. You wouldn't be having those games out on Nintendo that if you eventually do get them, it's because they had that exclusive world. Whereas if you kill all that and only have PC, all you have is pirate mindsets and Western mentalities. And that is terrible. You don't want that. You want as much unique identity as possible. Like I want to see identities coming from India. I like the identity coming out of South Korea. I want the identity coming from China. I'm like, man, look at this wuxia world out of Where Winds Meets. Look at Wukong because that's their identity of their culture that feels authentic. You see, just like Lies of P, that's an identity with Korea in a way. It's like you want that. That right there is what matters. Otherwise, things are too bland. It's the same zombie cycle over and over again, like GTA, Madden, FIFA, Call of Duty, Red Dead. You know what I mean? It gets generic, and it's like, no, man, I need exclusive identity coming on there and being strong. Like, so I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is how greedy these bastards have been with things. That's the problem. If it was more accessible and affordable, who wouldn't want to have all just to be able to enjoy it? I don't want everything only on PC and that's it and that's all I need. No, that's terrible because you're going to kill exclusivity creation. It's going to get bland. It's almost like saying I only want a few little teams left in this world and I don't want all this other competition around. Dude, that just kills everything. Now it becomes less interesting. Let's put all the best people on this one team and just overdump on everything and make it a boring game. No, man.
How many people are going to pre-order it. We don't know how many Valve has ready to go for launch, and we don't know what they're going to deem successful. But the big benefit they have is that they're launching with a mature storefront already out there in the world. And it's the preferred storefront on PC by a wide margin, basically. Like the biggest margin you could imagine, to the point where they're a monopoly by default, just by being the best. But trying to link the fact that people are buying less consoles to the Steam machine selling poorly at launch, I think is crazy.
That's irrelevant.
That, probably a lot of those people are not buying consoles because they're looking at investing in the PC ecosystem. Like they see where the winds are going.
Yeah.
They see the deals they can get on PC, and they just,
I mean, I have an insane look guys, I'll share with you guys real quick. This is what I have at the moment. Let's go to system information, just to let you guys know, you know. I have an Ultra i9 20. Yeah, that's right, guys. I know. You're like, dude, 24 core processor. Yeah, I have a 24 core processor, dude. 32 gigs of RAM right here. Look at my VRAM. It's up there. And I have a 5070 in this bad boy. You see what I mean? I got a really good deal on this though. But if you go down here right now, you'll see it. RTX 5070. There's nothing in this world that is going to give me any problems. Like, I tell you what, I can go like, guys, I can go max out anything I want and play it. Like, I have the ultimate PC experience. I have the PS5 Pro. I had the Series X at launch. I had the Switch 2. I do it all. I had the Sega games, the Sega consoles back then. You know what I mean? I was there since original Xbox. I was there since original PlayStation. You know, I played the NES. I've been gaming for 33 years now. A long time, since I was like 3 or 4, you know? And I've been there since the beginning, and I've seen everything now. So... yeah, I can tell you, like, PC is awesome in a lot of ways, but I don't like what's being done to it lately with this AI stuff. It's ruining everything.
I just want to take advantage of that ecosystem. So for right now, I'm holding course. I'm feeling pretty good. I have no idea what the price is going to be. I'm still holding strong at between $500 and $700. I know that's a big range, but that's what I've said from the start, so I'm sticking with it. But speaking of great games,
Dude, it's going to be $700 plus. They're not subsidizing. There's no way I'm thinking that no, man. Did he not, guys, did he not see that video with Linus? When he was like, you know, I was thinking maybe 600, and they were quiet on the phone. He's like, okay, yeah, $700 and up. It's like, no, dude, like, but the way this is, there's no way Steam Machine is going to be less than $700. I'm sorry, man. And I really wish it would have been 1 terabyte. We can get past the VRAM part now because how ridiculous stuff is, but they should at least put a 1 terabyte in there, not 512.
Let's get into the second news story.
Because think about, like, this is where I say this, guys. Think about if you want to upgrade from that 512 and you just kind of get stuck with that. You know how ridiculous games are now? With the way they're about to jack up those prices, you're going to be paying a fortune. You'll probably be thinking about going for the 2 terabyte model over the 512 if you don't have an external and there's something that says, sorry, we don't support these type of externals. I hope they don't do that. We're going to have to find that out because it's going to be Linux based only. So I'm curious to see what type of SSDs are going to be supported internally and externally. If you could even change the insides, which I'm pretty sure you probably can, but we'll find out though. That's something that we need to find out about. So next is kind of like Steam Deck stuff and all that. So we get an idea what he thinks about the Steam Machine and maybe it getting delayed. Maybe it not getting delayed. I think there's a high chance it can, and there's that possibility of what he's saying if they have pre-stock available. Because obviously if you're going to be launching it next year anyways, you already have it done. So how many did they have done before this stuff was coming? Yeah, so we'll figure out. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out. As usual, you know, bringing you great content. And I ain't going nowhere. Later, y'all. Stay cool.